So I wanted to get everybody caught up on where I'm at. The last time we left off, I had this old MSI motherboard. Where you at? Over here. I had this old MSI motherboard from my crypto mining days. It has 6 PCI Express slots, but my 9700K 9th generation Intel i7 chip would not work in it. It would not post because the chipset is too old. So we picked up a new MSI Z390 motherboard, which we've now got in this computer in the case, mounted, ready to go. It's got some cool features. Obviously, it supports DDR4. It supports our 9th gen Intel processor, so now the thing boots, it posts, everything's good. It has Wi-Fi built in, USB-C, and everything else you would hope for in a system like this. So why do we have to build such a beefy computer? Why can't you go with kind of a bargain basement PC? This is on the, just so you know, this has 16 gigs of DDR4. It has a pretty beefy heatsink and fan, which you can overclock this. I've got a GTX 1070, which is kind of honestly the base of what you can run VR with. And I've got 4 Samsung 1TB 840 SSDs. Now, why do you need that beefy hardware? It's simple. Virtual reality, when you stop and think about it, the reason it didn't exist before now, or at least it wasn't really commercially viable for the home user, was you've got these giant displays. I know they're tiny, but they're giant as far as resolution is concerned and pixel density. And you've got to mount it just a couple inches from your eyes. And so we had to wait for OLED screens and LCD screens to get contrast ratios and everything else, and high enough pixel densities to where you could mount them right next to your eyeballs. On top of that, we needed video cards, GPUs, to be powerful enough to push that many pixels at 90 frames a second. Up until recently, that just wasn't possible, and honestly, it barely is now. There are a lot of times where with games, you have to set extra settings to actually skip frames when the frame rates drop too low. You get some stuttering in some games and things like that. So we're kind of at that threshold where virtual reality is really getting the visual horsepower, the computing horsepower it needs to take off and be more ubiquitous across gaming. And honestly, even though we're at this kind of rudimentary phase, I call it rudimentary because, these are like 1st and 2nd generation headsets. When you experience this for the first time and you actually get that sense of immersion in the games that you kind of always hoped existed when you were a kid but didn't, once you get that, it's really addicting, and you can kind of see that this is definitely the future of gaming. No, we're not quite there yet. We've got to work on the controls, the motion. Obviously, we've got to make it easier to set up and configure. This is still kind of clunky and hard to mess with, but you can see that there is promise there, and it's really exciting. With that said, here's a little bit about the PC build. I went over some of the details with my kids, so let's show that now.
Oh my, a headband been hanging down.
Do you know what a motherboard does? All right. So think of this like your body. So you've got the processor. This is like your brain. This does all the calculations and processing and all those things. You've got to plug your brain.
And math.
Yeah, it does all the math. It does like billions of trillions of calculations per second. But you've got to plug your brain into something, right? What do you plug your brain into?
I don't know.
Your body. So you need your body. You need all of your blood vessels and your heart and everything pumping stuff into your brain so that your brain can keep alive. So you got to think of the motherboard. This is like your body. This is like your brain.
No, it's not, because it's electronics, and I'm not electronic.
You're kind of electronics. Your brain has little wires. They're not really wires, but little electricity firing across it all the time, and that's what helps you think. If your brain is the CPU and your body is the motherboard, what do you think electricity is? The power supply. What do you think that is? It's like your food that you eat. It's fuel. So everything booted and posted as we had hoped. First try. Well, second try if you count the old motherboard, but we won't get into that again. We've got the hub for the HTC Vive, and basically what this is incoming power source. We've got that mounted to our power strip. We've got a USB pass-through that goes to the back of the motherboard. And then we've also got DVI to, DisplayPort to mini DisplayPort. And that's so you can drive the actual displays on here. You can see we got a red light, so we have a signal. That is all good. It's a positive sign, guys. I think we're going to actually make this happen. I don't have any other progress on the room itself, so look for the next part of this series. I'm going to get Windows loaded on here. That's boring. You don't need me to walk you through that. But then I'm going to show you how to set up the software. So we're going to do Steam. We're going to do Vive's own software. And we're going to get that all running. We might even do Revive so you can play Oculus games. I'll show you how to set that up. We're going to get the lighthouses mounted. We're going to get the controllers mounted on the wall so you can charge them. We're going to put up a hanger so you can hang up the head-mounted display and kind of show you how to get the room configured and everything else set up so you're ready to go. So I think that's it for part 2, guys. I kind of want to do something cool to give back to the community because everybody has been so great. My first video had more comments and views than I had hoped for, and this seems like something that's really helping out the community. I would love to give back a little bit. If you watch this video, leave me a comment. I'm going to pick one of you at random, and I'm going to send you a GTX 1060 video card free of charge. It's my giveaway. Help me get to 1,000 likes on this, even 1,000 subscribers on my channel. Pass this along, spread it out to everybody. I'll choose one of you at random in about a month, and we'll go from there. But I really appreciate the outpouring of support, guys. I couldn't do this without all of you. Thank you so much.